This video is brought to you by Devout Decals, makers of reusable Catholic art for your home altar, your bedroom, and your home classroom.
World Youth Day is kicking off today in Lisbon, Portugal. The event is scheduled to run through August 6th and is estimated to have the lowest recorded turnout of any World Youth Day since World Youth Day was first launched in 1986. This event may as well be titled World Corruption of Youth Day, since the idea of the event is to instill a faith based on feelings and secular values onto the youngest of Catholics. A reduction of the faith to feelings is one of the hallmarks of modernism, and this year's event in Portugal features a cast of some of the strangest and most disturbing figures in the Church today, which itself signals that Rome will in fact be focusing on the new religion and not what has been traditionally called Catholicism. It's a new religion that embraces sin, promotes error, and sacrifices truth in the name of unity. Let's dive into the story by starting with an admission from the secular authorities in Portugal, who tell us that, shock of shocks, World Youth Day 2023 is not a Catholic event, but an ecumenical event meant to promote unity and dialogue. Now that's not surprising, given what has been previously reported on this year's World Youth Day, where the Cardinal Archbishop in charge of the event has said that the purpose of World Youth Day is not to convert the youth to Jesus Christ, but to foster dialogue and to foster accompaniment, and the youth being generally pleasant people. I don't know what the point of that is, or what the point of spending enormous sums of money are for such an event, if the point isn't the salvation of souls. But the Vatican and the secular authorities are on the same page regarding World Youth Day, and that's frankly not surprising, folks, nor is this surprising. A major American guest speaker has actually been announced. It's none other than Pastor Jimmy Martin of the Jesuit Church. Yes, the heretic-in-chief and principal advocate for what we call around here the James Martin sin is being given a high-profile speaking slot at World Youth Day. This story comes to us from LifeSite News with the headline, Father James Martin to address participants of 2023 World Youth Day. Father James Martin's ongoing rise to prominence under the reign of Pope Francis continues apace with his upcoming roles at World Youth Day. And it's not an internet address either. Martin tweeted to his followers that he would be less active on Twitter for the next week or so because he was traveling to Portugal and would be busy with World Youth Day festivities. One hopes he keeps the private synodal encounters to a minimum. From the article, quote, Martin revealed his update via a July 27th social media post, stating that he was set to speak at the Jesuits' pre-World Youth Day Magis event, before speaking at World Youth Day itself. Then they quote his Twitter post. Dear friends, God willing, I'll be traveling to Lisbon tonight to speak at Magis 2023, the gathering of students from Jesuit schools from around the world, and then at World Youth Day, so I won't be posting as much here. Also, I would very much appreciate your prayers. World Youth Day runs from August 1st through the 6th in Lisbon, Portugal, with Pope Francis set to join the young people for over half of the multi-day event. It is comprised of numerous activities, prayer sessions, conferences, music workshops, and informal conferences and meetings. Underpinning the key events of each day is the Youth Festival, which runs throughout the entire day and offers participants various options of activities to join. It is in some of these that Martin will encounter the World Youth Day pilgrims, since the Jesuits are organizing numerous events at the Largo de Misericordia. According to Martin's own American magazine, the Largo de Misericordia is intended to be, quote, a space that will be open to the whole world at the heart of the city, and as a result of a partnership between the Society of Jesus and the Santa Casa de Misericordia de Lisboa. That is a charitable institution in Lisbon, Portugal, which provides social services and support to those in need. More in-depth details are provided only via the official World Youth Day phone app, although it is as yet unclear which particular events Martin will be involved in and what he will be speaking on. But some of the Jesuits' events include Truth and Tolerance, on being Christian in a pluralistic age, Listen to your body / yourself, Living at the Ecologic Turning in Faith. Martin is also speaking at the Jesuit-run Magis 2023 event. According to America, the 10-day event held prior to World Youth Day brings 2,000 young people from 82 countries connected with the Society of Jesus to Lisbon. End lengthy quote. Looking at that itinerary, I'm reminded of a quote from sacred scripture. Now, this comes from the book of the prophet Jeremiah, who warns us, quote, "The heart is perverse above all things, and unsearchable. Who can know it? I am the Lord, who search the heart and prove the reins, who give to every one according to his way, and according to the fruit of his devices." End quote. That's from the Dewey-Rames translation. And it's a stark contrast to the workshop called Listen to Your Body / Yourself. The prophet warns us not to follow our hearts or to listen to our own internal inclinations. Maybe Pastor Jimmy Martin knows better than the prophet Jeremiah, but I doubt it. But I want to focus here on Magis 2023 event because it's a high-profile Jesuit event at World Youth Day, where they will promote and instill secularized modernist values in the name of the faith onto impressionable young people. Quote, "The Magis event is prestigious, as evidenced by virtue of the names attached to it. The Jesuit's Portuguese provincial superior will offer the opening mass, while the Jesuit superior general, the Black Pope, as he is colloquially known in Rome, will offer the closing mass. Francis has also sent a personal message greeting the participants. Martin's participation at the World Youth Day event, which is self-described as a, quote, pilgrimage, a celebration of youth, an expression of the universal church, and an intense moment of evangelization for the youth world, with a, quote, clearly evident Catholic identity, sure, is cause for concern for faithful Catholics. The notoriously pro-James Martin Sin Jesuit, also a member of the Dicastery for Communications, has enjoyed increasing papal favor despite his long-standing record of promoting that evil ideology and dissent from Catholic teaching." End quote. The article then goes on to recount all the blasphemous work Martin does, through his work of attempting to normalize sin, including sins that cry out to heaven for justice, and how he has celebrated grotesque so-called art that depicts our Lord as one of the James Martin crowd, and in general has promoted diabolical art along those lines in the past. Martin is quite the character, folks. But then again, he has been involved in World Youth Day and in other youth-related programs several times in the past under the reign of Francis. Martin is one of the rising stars of the ape of the church, and he is clearly being prepared for greater things in this new synodal church that Francis is building. But the Magis 2023 event needs a bit of highlighting here. It began in late July as a pilgrimage across parts of Europe with the aim of ending in Lisbon. Participants are described as young adults, which they defined in that nauseatingly broad way of being between the ages of 18 and 35, which is far too expansive definition of young adult for my personal taste. But the official Magis 2023 event describes what they're doing in this way. Quote, "Magis is the Jesuit-initiated gathering of young people that precedes the celebration of World Youth Day. During Magis, the participants, referred to as pilgrims, engage in daily morning prayer, examine, group sharing in Magis circles, Thanksgiving Mass, and the highlight of the 10 days, the life experience. Starting on the evening of the 23rd of July, the pilgrims in small groups embark on a journey in various locations in Spain and Portugal to undertake their chosen experiences based on 5 major themes: pilgrimage, environment and ecology, art and culture, faith and spirituality, and social service. These experiences are meant to help them meet others and God in different ways and prepare them for the celebration of World Youth Day, which starts on the 1st of August. End quote. So yes, it's all wrapped up in vaguely Catholic-sounding spirituality that then hammers home the message of the modernists. On Twitter, Archbishop Vigano gave us his thoughts, though, on James Martin's participation in World Youth Day. I quote him directly here, but you have to clean it up a bit for the sensibilities of our lovely and totally fair hosts, though. Quote, "The depraved Jesuit James Martin, puppet in the hands of ventriloquists of Santa Marta, will speak at the Lisbon World Youth Day about being Christian in a pluralistic era, how to listen to your body, and how to live out the ecologic turning in faith. The World Youth Day is the stage on which the grotesque mise en scène of secular first deadly sin propaganda and indoctrination to the detriment of the new generations, twisted and corrupted by those who should guard them and protect them from sins and vices. The conciliar sect, destroyed by the Catholic truth, by humiliating it with Arianist ecumenism at the level of the errors of heretics and idolatrists. It has given too much relevance to the physical aspects compared to the spiritual ones, especially by emphasizing the flesh and the fulfillment of pleasure up to the most obscene corruptions, forgetting that every baptized must follow Christ on the path of self-denial and sacrifice. This quote-unquote pontificate has indulged in the pantheistic Laudato Si agenda of the heretic Jesuit Teilhard de Chardin, today turned into an idolatrous sect of nature, sacrilegiously celebrated in St. Peter. We will never regret enough the suppression of the Jesuits by Clement XIV, unfortunately revoked by Pius VII. The Society of Jesus has been transformed into the Society of Satan. End quote. That's a heck of an accusation. That the Society of Jesus has been transformed into the Society of Satan. And I'll offer a bit of a counter-argument here, sort of. I have it on good authority from traditionalist clergists that are within the Jesuits themselves that young Jesuits, seminarians especially, lean towards traditionalist, or are very conservative in general, meaning they are identifiably Jesuit. They are identifiably Catholic. This, of course, has the leadership of the present-day Jesuits very concerned, and they are trying to figure out how to control this problem before it takes over the Jesuit order, meaning before the Jesuits are restored to being actual Jesuits again, the bane of heretic schismatic groups like they were during the Catholic Counter-Reformation and during the exploration of North America, where the Jesuits were among the first to spread the authentic gospel to the locals that they met, who had not heard the gospel before, often at great price for the priests and missionaries who carried the gospel message to those peoples. A restoration of the Jesuits is the last thing the Bergoglians running the church and the Jesuits want. So keep those seminarians in your prayers. And personally, I do love some of the wild ideas about Jesuits that Protestants have out there, though. But what do you think about all this? Are you surprised that Pastor Jimmy Martin of the Jesuit Church will be allowed to twist the minds of impressionable young Catholics into listening to their bodies and minds during a moment of ecumenical dialogue? Do you think he's being prepared for a greater leadership role in the church? I've joked in the past about Pope Jimmy Martin, but, let's not get carried away, I think. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments, please. And like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly does help. So does sharing this on social media. That helps a lot, too. As always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.